Hello Eclectic Souls, my name is Adrianna and I'd love to welcome you back. Today we are working on a cute little craft idea that I've been wanting to do with one of my girlfriends, Asia, in a really long time, making an apron. And I have been going to my local thrift store at least once a week and I'm finding fun little things like this fabric, which was probably, I think it was like almost like 3 yards and it was less than $2. So I thought that was amazing and I thought it would be perfect to make a little Christmas apron with. And I'm wanting to definitely work on being sustainable, looking at fabric that maybe people haven't used before, or just they had too much, so they drop it off at a thrift store. And to pair it with it, I decided to do this sheet that was also found in the bedding section. So when you are looking for little craft ideas or things that you want to test out, always check out your local thrift store and see what kind of fabric they have on their end. Now let's just go ahead and get right into this fun little sewing project. Thanks again. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now with the design, you guys, I wanted to do a half apron, which is just from the waist to your thighs. You can go ahead and add a square piece to go ahead and complete the full apron if you'd like, or you can go ahead and follow along with my cute little design. It's a little bit vintage inspired, wanting to look a little cute in the kitchen while we bake, especially with some Christmas fabric that I have today. Now with your measurements, you want to go ahead and go from your waist down to maybe wherever you'd like it to hit on your thigh. I went and did probably around 17 inches and I found that it was the same across to my hip area. So you can go ahead and add about an inch or half an inch for seam allowance. And then for the waistband, I actually just used the tape measure to see if I could tie a bow. I do feel like I want the strings of the bow to go a little longer, so I went ahead and added 10 inches. When you're ready, go ahead and grab your main fabric. With the main fabric, you're going to want to go ahead and create two 17 by 17 inch panels. And this is if you're going to go ahead and use my measurements. If not, go ahead and make sure you are using your measurements. I'm going to go ahead and pin it, and right after we do that, we're going to go ahead and add a little curve at the end. We're going to go ahead and use a little plate like tea saucer. If you have one of those, this works really great, or even a CD, anything with a rounded edge. We're going to go ahead and just lay that onto this corner and chop away. And based on your tools, if it's sharp enough, you could just fold it over and do both sides at once. Or once you complete one side, fold it and make sure you have the same curve on the other side. Now for the waistband, I used a sheet that I got from a thrift store. It is not yellow or gross, so this worked out perfectly. I ended up doing about 70 inches by 6 inches, which was just the entire side of this queen sheet, I believe it was, right down the edge. Once I had it completely cut, I trimmed away that seam at the top of the bed sheet, and I ended up just folding it in half and once again in half again. To make this a lot easier for yourself, go to the ironing board and iron that baby down. Now we got the waistband done, set that aside. We're going to go ahead and work on the pleats. I wanted to do ruffles, but I ended up not using enough of the fabric sheet. So if you want to ruffle, maybe double or even triple the edge of your apron. So mine was 50 inches and I only added about 10 inches, which is why I ended up having to pleat. So So to make it simple, I use the edge of the bed sheet again, since it is double layered and already sewn at the seam on the bottom. Kind of a perk when you use sustainable fabrics, right? I went ahead and ironed it as best as I could, and I just am now going to go ahead and assemble. Midway I realized I wanted it to be a bit thicker, so I did add an extra layer of a bed sheet to make the apron a little bit thicker. So what you want to go ahead and do is one end of your ruffle fabric you'll put on one side and pin it down. And you will go ahead and work it onto the other side. And this will allow you to know how many pleats or so you'll be able to use with the length of fabric that you have. And you can go ahead and play with it. I realized that the inches that I had was about 4 inches, and I only wanted 2 inches of the pleats to show. So that's why you see it overlapping there. Later, after it's sewn down, we go ahead and chop that excess fabric away. And take your time with pleating. Make sure you like how it appears to you, and be patient. And I want you guys to note, the pleats that are actually going to be showing are what is inside the fabric. The portion sticking out from the main panel of our apron is going to be chopped off. If you measured correctly how big you want your pleat to be, or your ruffle, then don't worry about it. Here, now I'm going to go ahead and apply my last layer of the panel right on top and pin that completely around. So as mentioned, those pleats that you see here from this angle, that's going to be chopped away. Once completely pinned down, we can take this beauty over to the sewing machine, and I just used a straight stitch all the way around. Now that it's totally sewn together, we can go ahead and, as mentioned, chop the excess pleating away. Now that that's all chopped off, the excess fabric, you can turn it inside the right way. So here's what this little cuteness is looking like. You could go ahead and sew along the edge there if you'd like, but I really don't mind it being kind of bubbly. Now, to attach the waistband we created earlier, we're just going to basically hot dog it into the apron. And of course, locate the center of your waistband. You don't want it to be lopsided. The main portion that you need to pin down is just the part that is attaching to the apron. And once you bring this over to the sewing machine, just start from one end of the waistband and sew all the way through the apron and to the other end. And we are all done! Yay! Let's get baking.
Sleigh bells are ringing out by the sea, sending a message of love and sympathy. I've been waiting baby.